We wish every day came with a few extra hours, yet we repeat the same tired complaint, "I'm so busy, I don't have time." But the truth is this, the problem isn't how many hours you have, it's how you're spending the minutes that make up your life. Today, we're stepping into a completely different perspective, the perspective of a Japanese samurai, a journey to learn how to manage time with awareness, discipline, and a mind as sharp as their blade. You're not lacking time, you're losing it, minute by minute, quietly, unconsciously, through tiny actions you assume are insignificant. But those insignificant moments are eroding your life faster than any major crisis ever could. Many people live in a constant state of tension, what the Japanese might call a karoshi mindset. Not because their work is too heavy, but because their mind is always running, always stretched, always scattered. You feel tired, overwhelmed, convinced you're short on time. Yet your phone easily swallows 3 to 5 hours a day. Important work gets postponed while meaningless distractions dominate your schedule. And then you tell yourself, "I'm just too busy." No, you're not busy. You're simply living without awareness. Time has never been an external factor. It's not the weather, something you can blame. Time is your greatest asset, yet you give it away to anything capable of distracting you. And one day, when you suddenly realize your youth has been drained by pointless conversations, unfinished projects, and endless "I'll do it tomorrow," what you've lost isn't just time, it's the chance to live a meaningful life. You lose your dreams. You lose your drive. You lose the best version of yourself. You can't keep treating your life like an unlimited resource. You can't keep letting trivial things consume your days. You can't keep letting time control you while you live passively. It's time to face a single question head on. Is what I'm doing right now worth trading a piece of my life for? If the answer is no, then something must change, starting today. Before we dive into the main content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming valuable videos.
1. The wrong mindset. Seeing time as something outside yourself. People often live with one of the most dangerous illusions, the belief that time exists outside of them, beyond their control. They treat time like the weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, sometimes favorable, sometimes not. And because they see it as an external force, they allow themselves to drift with circumstances instead of steering their own lives. But this view contradicts the Japanese philosophy of jikan, the practice of actively feeling and shaping time. The Japanese don't see time as some distant river flowing past them. They see it as an internal rhythm, a state of mind, a resource that must be sensed, shaped, and intentionally used. Time isn't just numbers on a clock, it's the raw material from which life is crafted. That's why in Kaizen culture, there's a truth that's repeated over and over. Time isn't something you have, it's something you create through small choices, quiet decisions, and daily repeated actions. No one accidentally gets more time. They simply live with more awareness, eliminate the unnecessary, and prioritize what truly matters. The difference is never in the hours they have, but in how they meet each moment. This is the essence of Kaizen. Change through small, consistent, intentional steps. A tiny improvement in how you use your time, repeated daily, can transform your entire life. Likewise, a tiny misalignment, repeated through unconscious habits, can pull you far from the path you want. And this mindset is deeply aligned with samurai philosophy. A samurai doesn't sit and wait for the right moment. They create the moment through training, preparation, and above all, by eliminating what doesn't matter. Excess possessions, useless worries, distracting thoughts, all must be removed. because they know a heavy mind will never recognize the decisive moment of its own life. A samurai doesn't win because they're stronger. They win because they are simpler, more focused, more disciplined. Modern life is the same. We aren't defeated by a lack of time, but by distraction, information overload, and unconscious choices that eat away our days. You don't lose time to big events. You lose it to the tiny things you think don't matter. But those tiny things, repeated 365 days a year, become the biggest force pulling you away from your path. That's why what you truly need isn't more hours, it's a new perspective. See time as a life force to be directed, not a stream passing through your hands. See each minute as a hammer forging the sword of your life. Use it with intention, and the blade becomes sharper. Use it carelessly, and it grows dull. And like a samurai stepping onto the battlefield, you have only two choices. Either you create time, or time sweeps you away. Change begins with one realization. Time has always been in your hands, shaped by every small decision you make today. Once you live with that awareness, time stops being an enemy and becomes the strongest ally guiding you toward your highest self.
2. Time tracking, the modern Kaizen blueprint. Tracking every minute of your day may sound simple, even trivial, but it is one of the most transformative steps you can take to reclaim mastery over your life. In the spirit of Kaizen, every improvement begins with clear awareness. You cannot change what you don't measure. And you cannot optimize your life unless you confront how you're actually living. Just like Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's greatest swordsman, a man who spent his life meticulously recording every training session, every micro-error and movement, every moment his focus slipped. Musashi understood that a single overlooked detail could turn into a fatal strike in a life-or-death battle. That discipline is what made him a legend, undefeated in more than 60 duels. In modern life, time tracking is the Kaizen version of that practice. A mirror to examine yourself, to see every unconscious movement, to identify the misaligned strikes that quietly harm your own progress. Try documenting everything you do for a week, every time you pick up your phone, every waiting period, every moment you take a short break. Only when you see it all on paper will you realize that the hours you've lost weren't taken by busyness, but by tiny behaviors repeated endlessly. The Japanese called these things muda, wasted effort. And this waste doesn't just come from big tasks. It lives inside the small things that seem harmless. Wasted motion, like scrolling mindlessly from feed to feed, video to video. Wasted waiting, when your mind drifts instead of tackling a quick task. Wasted attention, when notifications pull you out of flow and cost you 10 to 20 minutes to recover. These silent leaks drain your day the same way a samurai loses advantage by loosening his stance by just a few centimeters. But the biggest waste isn't the time swallowed by distractions, it's the tasks you keep piling up without completing. This mirrors the concept of tsundoku, collecting books without reading them, collecting tasks without doing them. You list them, shift them to tomorrow, move them to next week, promise to handle them when things calm down. This isn't simple procrastination. It's sophisticated procrastination, a form that convinces you that you're still managing your life when in reality, you're just postponing responsibility to ease guilt. And just like stacking books won't make you wiser, stacking tasks in your mind won't bring you closer to your goals. A samurai like Musashi would never allow himself to fall into tsundoku. To him, doing it tomorrow meant handing victory to the opponent. Every task, even the smallest, had to be completed with full presence and uncompromising discipline. That is the source of his undefeatable strength, the continuity of his actions, the clarity of his thinking, the simplicity of his rhythm. When you track time, you are doing the same, reconnecting the beats of your life, clearing the fog of unconscious habits, and revealing the precious hours you lose every day. And once you see those truths written down, you refuse to live vaguely ever again. You start choosing more deliberately, eliminating more decisively, living more consciously. You stop wasting your life on things unworthy of it. You turn every minute into an intentional decision.
3. The samurai rule. Treat time as the ultimate resource. In samurai tradition, there is an unbreakable rule. Every choice is paid for with time, and time is life itself. A samurai only needs to misjudge one moment, misstep by one beat, or misangle one strike for the price to be death. There is no room for indulgence, no "I'll deal with it tomorrow," no space for distraction. In modern life, we don't lose our lives the way they did, but the cost is still severe. We lose opportunities, we lose youth, we lose the best version of who we could have become. And sometimes that loss happens so quietly that we don't notice until it's far too late. Yamamoto Tsunetomo, author of Hagakure, the cornerstone of Bushido, once wrote, "A warrior must live as if every moment were his last, not to fear death, but to treasure every second he's given and never waste it on the unworthy." This is exactly the mindset we must learn when facing time. A samurai never gives his life to trivialities. He commits his minutes only to what sharpens his skill, strengthens his spirit, or preserves his honor. Every moment must serve the path, do, he has chosen. Apply that mindset to modern life, and you quickly see, time is not something to spend impulsively. It is the supreme resource that must be guarded. In Bushido, there is a core principle. Whenever someone asks for your time, they are asking for a piece of your life. This isn't poetic exaggeration. It is the raw truth. A meaningless meeting doesn't just take 2 hours. It takes 2 hours of your life. A project you never wanted doesn't just fill your schedule. It drains your energy. A mindless habit doesn't just slow you down, it shortens the future you could have lived. Once you see time as life, your decisions change. You decline not because you're busy, but because your life deserves more. You become selective with commitments, conversations, and anything added to your calendar. You stop giving your time generously to things that do nothing for your path. This question, when asked at the right moment, cuts through distraction like a blade. Is this worth a piece of my life? If the answer is no, you let it go. No regret, no hesitation, no justification. If the answer is yes, you give it everything, with the same wholehearted spirit as a samurai stepping into battle.
4. The ultimate question in the spirit of Zen. Within the spirit of Zen lies a simple truth, so powerful it can reshape the way a person lives. Time is life itself. Not a metaphor, not a poetic idea, a literal reality. Every minute that passes doesn't just disappear from your calendar, it disappears from your life. Once you understand this down to your bones, you can never waste time again as if it were infinite. Zen teaches that presence is everything. Only when you are fully present do you truly live. But modern life constantly pulls us away from presence through endless forms of noise, what the Japanese call zatsuan. It's the noise of notifications, the noise of scattered thoughts, the noise of nameless worries, the noise of mindless scrolling, the noise of doing tasks simply to feel like you did something. Most of what we do each day is not worthy of being traded for our life. These things do not nourish the mind, move us closer to our goals, or strengthen our inner qualities. They are movement without progress. And it is this invisible noise that becomes the true enemy of our lives, quietly consuming our most precious time. To silence this noise, great samurai often turned to Zen. One of the most influential spiritual teachers to the sword masters was Zen monk Takuan Soho, who mentored Yagyu Munenori, one of Japan's legendary martial artists. Takuan taught that a samurai becomes truly powerful only when the mind is free of clinging, when thought does not drift to the past or leap to the future, when every drop of life is poured into the present moment. He wrote, "The mind that stops at any point, this is where the sword slows. And in everyday life, the mind that gets caught on any noise, this is where life falls out of rhythm." So to live in alignment with Zen, you must ask yourself one ultimate question. A question sharp enough to cut through all noise, all distraction, and all unconscious behavior. Is this worthy of my life? The moment the question arises, awareness arises with it. It's as sharp as the instant a samurai closes his eyes and breathes deeply before stepping into battle, letting go of everything unnecessary, bringing his mind to a single point, the present moment. It slices through all mental drift and pulls you back toward the path you truly want to walk. This question is not just for evaluating actions, it is a mirror held up to your entire life. If what you're doing is not worth your life, you stop immediately. If the conversation is unworthy, you step away politely. If a task leads nowhere, you remove it without hesitation. If a habit doesn't nourish you, you refuse to carry it for even one more day. But if something is worthy of your life, you dive into it with everything you have, with full presence, with real focus, with authentic vitality, the way a samurai enters battle with a decisive strike, unwavering and unquestioning. Hold this question in your mind and you step into a different state of living, more awake, more focused, more intentional. Every choice becomes clearer. Every action becomes deeper. Every moment becomes valuable. Awakening is not about meditating for hours. It's about giving your life only to what is truly worthy of it.
5. Building your system through Kaizen and Bushido. In both Kaizen and Bushido, sustainable change always begins with a system, not with motivation. Samurai understood this better than anyone. They didn't enter battle with vague hopes. They walked in with a training structure built day by day, strike by strike, breath by breath. And this mindset is exactly what we can bring into modern life. If you don't design your own life, someone else will design it for you. Historically, samurai philosopher Yamamoto Tsunetomo, author of Hagakure, wrote that a warrior must identify his path, do, and walk it with absolute devotion, never allowing himself to be pulled off course by distractions, trivial tasks, or empty obligations. This forms the first principle. Identify what truly matters, just as a samurai chooses his do. Without a path, you have no direction. Without direction, every day becomes a reaction to the world, rather than an act of creating your world. Once you list the things that matter most, health, skills, career, family, discipline, ideals, you begin reclaiming control. But look at your current schedule, and a harsh truth appears. The most important things in your life often don't appear at all. They've been displaced by meaningless obligations, social commitments that add nothing,
draining tasks and habits formed simply because we drifted into them. In Kaizen, the Japanese call these muri, overload, and muda, waste, two enemies that destroy progress. Muda, unnecessary tasks. Muri, unnecessary strain. Both eat away at your life, bit by bit. A proper system eliminates them without mercy. Review your schedule, and you'll see clearly that what matters most is being suffocated by what matters least. This is why you aren't progressing, growing, or changing. You're giving your life away to what doesn't deserve it. And here comes the ultimate shift, the line that separates those who live intentionally from those who live on autopilot. Flip the entire system. Don't squeeze important work into the leftover scraps of your day. Don't wait until you have time to do what matters. Don't let the essential be overshadowed by the urgent but worthless. Put the important things on your calendar first, as if they were appointments you can never break. This is the essence of Makoto, sincerity, in Bushido. A samurai would sooner die than break a promise. And with yourself, you must practice the same discipline. One workout, 1 hour of learning, one reading session, one deep focus block, one improvement milestone. If it's on the calendar, it becomes non-negotiable, like a duel a samurai must inevitably face. Everything else must adapt. What doesn't fit? Remove it. What has little value? Minimize it. What isn't urgent? Delay it. Life becomes sharper, cleaner, stronger. This is how Miyamoto Musashi lived. He never allowed others to dictate his schedule. His days were a deliberate construction. Training, observing, writing, meditating, honing skills. Each one placed precisely within the system he designed. That self-mastery is what made him unbeatable. Everything else must adapt or be eliminated, without compromise. Life changes only when you are brave enough to cut. And once the system is designed correctly, you no longer need motivation to maintain it, because the schedule itself pulls you forward, day by day, in the spirit of Kaizen. Small progress, steady progress, unstoppable progress.
6. The result, the power of cutting away the meaningless, Danshari. Lasting change rarely begins by adding more. It begins by cutting away everything unworthy of your life. In Japanese culture, this process is called danshari, the art of letting go to gain freedom. When a samurai stepped onto the battlefield, they didn't carry everything they owned. They kept only what served victory. Modern life is no different. The more streamlined you become, the more focused, the more powerful. The image of samurai Sasaki Kojiro, Miyamoto Musashi's legendary rival, captures this perfectly. Kojiro was famous for wielding an exceptionally long nodachi, yet he carried nothing unnecessary. Everything was stripped down to optimize speed, focus, and absolute precision. His simplicity wasn't just a fighting style, it was a mindset. Remove everything that blocks your path to mastery. Applied to our own lives, danshari isn't just about decluttering your room, it's about decluttering your existence. And once the meaningless is removed, the results are far more powerful than most people expect. You finish long-stalled projects thanks to reducing muda, or waste. When your mind is no longer pulled in 10 directions by trivial tasks, your energy naturally flows to what truly matters. Projects that were stuck for months suddenly feel doable. A half-written manuscript, a business idea, a creative plan, they all become clearer once you remove the mental trash. Cutting waste doesn't give you more time, it reveals the sharpness you already had. You train more consistently, fueled by the spirit of ganbaru, everyday perseverance. The Japanese believe real strength comes not from bursts of effort, but from steady persistence. Danshari makes consistency possible. When life isn't cluttered, training no longer feels like a battle against distraction. Samurai master Yagyu Munenori once said, "A disturbed mind makes the sword weak. A simplified schedule produces a clear mind, and over time, a stronger body."
You learn new skills, guided by the spirit of shokunin, the pursuit of craftsmanship. To the Japanese, mastering a skill isn't simply learning, it's a lifelong devotion. But mastery only begins when you have enough focus to immerse yourself. Danshari frees that attention, allowing you to truly absorb a new skill. Writing, design, business, programming, public speaking. The less you chase meaningless tasks, the faster you learn, because your mind is no longer worn down by chaos. You gain more free time, not by having more hours, but by stopping the waste. This is one of the most surprising shifts. When you remove the meaningless, you don't just save minutes, you save life force. Free time becomes real free time. Reading without stress, resting without guilt, spending time with loved ones without your mind dragging unfinished tasks behind it. Freedom stops being rare. It becomes normal. You are not doing more, you're simply less scattered. This is the deepest truth of Danshari. You don't need superhuman effort, you just need less distraction. A samurai didn't win by multitasking. They won because every drop of energy was focused on one objective. Life works the same way. Focus is the greatest strength a person can possess. When Danshari merges with Kaizen, the result is not just improvement, it's rebirth. A sharper mind, a stronger self, a life chiseled like a samurai's blade, clean, precise, and razor-focused.
7. The 7-Day Kaizen Challenge. Every powerful transformation begins with a small step. Kaizen teaches that the single consistent action each day can alter the course of your destiny. This 7-Day Challenge is that first step, a journey to reclaim your time and your life. In Japan, many samurai maintained meticulous journals documenting their training, most famously Yamamoto Tsunetomo, author of Hagakure. He believed what is not recorded does not exist. Samurai wrote to see themselves clearly, to track progress and expose weaknesses hiding in the shadows. In that same spirit, this 7-Day Kaizen Challenge begins with observing every minute, not to control, but to illuminate. Track all your time for 7 days, just as samurai documented their training journeys. It sounds simple, but it is one of the most powerful practices. For 7 days, write everything down. The hours you work, the minutes you scroll, the breaks you take, the distractions that steal your attention, the meaningless tasks that pull you off course. This isn't a spreadsheet, it's a mirror, a reflection of your life. When samurai wrote, they didn't seek perfection, they sought truth. And so should you. Let the numbers speak. Ask yourself, is this really how I want to spend my life? This question carries the weight of a real blade. The Japanese call it shitsumon no tachi, the sword of questioning. Asked properly, a single question can cut through every illusion. When you review your 7-day log, you'll see the truth. Most of your life has been lived unconsciously. Small, wasted minutes add up to lost years. This is your awakening, not because you want to change, but because you can no longer stand living the old way. Samurai General Uesugi Kenshin once said, "Every moment not used correctly is a moment that betrays yourself." When you ask the ultimate question, you enter that mindset. The courage to face the truth so you don't betray your own life. Once you see clearly, you naturally begin protecting your time, the way a samurai guarded their honor. A samurai guarded their honor with their life. A wrong promise, a wrong decision, a wasted action could have deadly consequences. Through this 7-day challenge, transformation happens when you realize time is your honor. You start declining meaningless conversations. You reduce tasks that add no value. You know when to stop, when to focus, when to step away. This isn't forced discipline. It's the natural instinct to protect what is precious.
When a samurai guards honor, they don't do it out of duty. They do it because it is who they are. When you see clearly how your time is slipping away, you naturally become that way too. A person who leads, not one who reacts. The 7-Day Kaizen Challenge isn't designed to make you explode with sudden motivation or transform your life overnight. It does one thing. It opens your eyes. And once you see, you can never go back. From day 8 onward, you don't just use time, you honor it. You don't just try harder, you choose smarter. You don't just live, you live with direction, like a samurai walking firmly along their do, their chosen path.
Awakening begins the moment you realize that your life is never stolen by anyone else. It's taken, quietly and gradually, by your own unconscious choices. Time has never been the enemy, only the habits that wasted are capable of destroying your future. And the final message of this journey is a sharp reminder, carrying the breath of the samurai. You are not lacking time. You're lacking the protection you give to it. You don't need more time. No samurai ever begged for extra hours before a battle. They simply trained hard enough to deserve every moment they were given. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman, once wrote, "The weak blame time. The strong turn every minute into a weapon." When you understand the true value of each hour you live, you stop searching for more time. You begin creating value from the time you already have. You simply need to stop giving your life away to what doesn't deserve it. It's the energy drained by meaningless conversations. It's the pull of obligations that add nothing to your growth. It's the habits that exhaust your spirit yet bring no progress. The great samurai Date Masamune was known for his decisiveness. Anything that did not serve his path was cut away without hesitation. Cutting off is not loss. It is self-protection. Time is a sword. If you don't wield it, it will wield you. A blade is neutral. It can save you or destroy you, depending entirely on the one who holds it. Time is the same. People don't lose their lives through one great catastrophe, but through countless small slices of time wasted without awareness. A samurai who mishandles his sword injures himself. And you, if you let your time slip away without purpose, wound the future you're meant to build. Use your time with clarity, discipline, and respect, in true samurai spirit. Clarity to know what is worth doing. Discipline to protect what matters. Respect so you never trade your life for the meaningless. Bushido teaches that a warrior lives fully in every action because every action is a stroke carved into his own history. You are no different. Every choice you make with your time becomes an engraving on the story of your life. So move forward like a modern samurai. Live with intention, choose with care, and focus on what is worthy. Because only when you master time do you truly master your life.